Hey guys, welcome back to Watching in the Dark. We'll be going over part 2 of how to play like a pro, going over missions 21, 22, and 23 of the Arks of Omen mission pack. If you did not catch the first episode of this, I highly recommend you go back and check it out, because we're going over mission 11, 12, and 13 in that video. First up, we're going to be going over mission 21, Abandoned Sanctuaries. This is the No Man's Land mission where you can not pregame move or be advanced deployed, and No Man's Land, which is the territory between the two zones that are neither player's deployment zone. This is a 5 objective mission that has Control 1, Control 2, Control More. The mission primary for this mission is a two-parter. At the end of each player's turn, whose turn it is, scores 2 victory points if they satisfy one of the following conditions, or 3 if they satisfy both of the conditions. Control the marker in the center of the battlefield. Destroy an enemy unit within 6 inches of the middle of the battlefield. This is one of the missions that you really want to be able to control the middle of the battlefield, or at least deny your opponent from controlling it. The reason here is you will either have to put something very durable, a lot of units on the middle point, that give up the primary objective from the mission to your opponent, and vice versa. So you have to play very delicately on this mission, because if it goes wrong and you're not able to either kill them off or they're not able to kill you off, it can be a huge primary point swing. There is a little bit of danger to this mission. This also has the caveat that if your opponent needs to kill you off the middle, you can just put something there that's like a useless drone unit, some crew hazard or something, and force them to at least dedicate firepower to that middle point that they would like to fire somewhere else and not into this unit. You can also play around a little bit depending on terrain and really impact how this objective is scored. The final thoughts on this: if you're a horde army that can really jam a lot of units on the point to control it and force your opponent to come deal with you, probably go for that aspect. If you're an MSU army that can't really afford to lose a bunch of units, or even can afford to lose a lot of units, you might try to just like put 1 or 2 useless cheap units on the middle point to try to score as much primary as possible. But realize there is a real downside to this, that they do get the other 2 primary for killing you off. So, with that in mind, we're going to go on to mission 22. Conversion. This is the mission leading from the front. If your warlord is not on the table or is within a transport, on a 1 through 3, you do not receive your Battle Forge CP bonus to the start of every player turn. The primary for this mission is control a No Man's Land for 2 points, control the enemy point for 4 points, or if you don't control your own home field point, you lose a point every turn. This mission opens us up to a few secondaries that we normally wouldn't take in a lot of lists: R&D and engaged on all fronts. The reason is because we start on the middle line on both sides of the table, 22 inches up and 30 inches over, that we can just walk into that zone and either start getting engaged for 2 points every turn, or we can start doing an R&D straight off the bat. So on this mission, it's pretty easy to get the full 10 extra primary points for just holding one of our objectives that isn't our home field, which we will want to do to score 8 points in this mission. This is a Control 1, Control 2, Control More. This also opens us up: if we are not an army that is playing something very durable, we can walk towards the 2 other edges of the board that we do not control, instead of going for the middle and letting our opponent take the middle, and we are playing for the outside / our home field. And if we were playing a more elite army with more durable units, we can just focus on our half of the board, where we take the middle and one other objective in a No Man's Land. With that said, we're going to move on to mission 23, the Scouring. This mission is a Control 1, Control 2, Control More mission with 5 objectives. The unique thing about this mission is none of the objectives start in either player's zones. They all start in No Man's Land. The mission primary for this mission is Auspex Scan. It's an action that can be done by any unit or army excluding aircraft, and you get 3 points for each objective you scan. You can only scan each objective once. I would say this is a pretty solid 6 or 9 points, depending if you can get that middle one, or even more if you're potentially a fast army that is willing to sacrifice some units. This is one of the missions that really benefits melee armies because the objectives are only 18 inches apart, and with a little bit of extra movement, run and charge, or anything like that, makes it much easier for those armies to be able to threaten your home objectives. This really benefits Horde armies that can outnumber their opponent and daisy chain to multiple objectives to hold more than their opponents for most of the game. Make sure you keep your eye out for part 3 of this video. If you found this video helpful and you stayed around this long, why don't you drop a like and subscribe and share it with a few friends. And we'll see you guys in the next one.